What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 147 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by, we're back to one of the classic intros, the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, eating that poon, never stopping too soon, the clit licking, never quitting, having fun, making pussies run, the phenomenal one, AJ Singh.
I mean, our channel's too small to get demonetized, but I think that might do it for some.
You know, as I was reading it, I was like, are any of these words on the banned list? Probably. But I mean, if you say
clit would be the one.
maybe. But if you say pussy, how do they know you're not going to say pussycat? And that should be fine, right?
Yeah, you think there's a person who actually like watching this stuff?
I don't think so. I think it's all like done with algorithms.
Yeah. Maybe, well, then it knows like the next word should be cat, right? Like,
I guess so. What have you been doing this week? Anything fun?
I after watching Across the Spiderverse, watched Into the Spiderverse, the first movie.
Oh, right.
The Miles Morales saga, and I think there's some truth to the idea that the first movie you watch of a certain type is your favorite of them. Because like I did like it. I liked Into the Spider-Verse. I really liked it. But I still think that Across the Spider-Verse was better.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I remember as a kid, like liking a lot of like sequels better than the original, but it was that case where for whatever reason I saw the sequel first.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you'll never know because it's like you can never flip it. So it's like, man, if I would have saw the original first, would have I liked it better?
That's what I'm not sure. I think I probably, if it went the other way, I would have liked the first one more, but just because I saw the second one, it was my introduction to it. I was like, this is new, this is nice. I think that's why the second one is like more of a more in my consciousness. I like it more.
I always wonder that with Indiana Jones because like The Last Crusade, which is the third movie made, is my absolute favorite of those movies, and actually one of my favorite movies of all time. And a lot of people are like, no, the first one's so much better, and I'm like, I've never been able to get aboard that train, but a part of me is like, well, I wonder if that was my intro to it, like it was for a lot of people,
right.
If that would have colored my perspective differently, and I would have had more invested in that movie, and wouldn't have been as likely to make the sequel of my favorite.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think it's a factor for sure. I did have a couple of issues with the movie. Kingpin's a normal man. Like, he shouldn't be able to take on Spider-Man.
This has been, and it's just like, that's one of the reasons I didn't like what they did to Kingpin in that last episode of Hawkeye, is because, like, in the Daredevil, like, series, yeah, he was, like, this big, formidable guy, but in Hawkeye, like, he has to be straight up a metahuman, or else he could not have survived,
Yeah.
And it's like, that's less interesting to me, but, yeah, you're right. He is, like...
Everybody else I get, but Kingpin's just a dude,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I guess because it's like a cartoon, maybe you just kind of forgive it and be like, okay, he's like this huge guy. But no, you're right. If he's just a regular person, even if he is a big burly dude,
he shouldn't be picking up cars and stuff.
Yeah, he shouldn't be able to, he shouldn't be able to go toe to toe physically with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like Daredevil, you go, okay, maybe, but Spider-Man, no.
Right, for sure.
He's always been portrayed, though, it's funny, as just like this huge guy.
Yeah, and usually big guys aren't that, graceful.
Right.
Kingpin's like this guy who can move really well. He's strong. He's a massive refrigerator kind of guy. And I feel like Spider-Man, if you had a guy like that in real life, as big as Kingpin, there are strong men.
Right.
But I don't know if Kingpin looks like a strong man exactly.
Not really.
Yeah.
No, he just kind of looks like this, thick.
Yeah, because he's like got a fat head.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't look like a bodybuilder, really.
Right.
Yeah. I assume he must work out.
He has to. He's got to be spending like 8 hours a day in the gym.
Even in the comic books, I mean, it varies from artist to artist, but some people draw him like cartoonishly large.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always thought that about him too. It's like, is he a regular dude, or did he get some super mojo?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like, did he take like a super serum or something? Like,
He was bitten by like a radioactive hippopotamus or something.
I mean, see, that would be good. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, and let me see. Do I have any other issues with that movie? Gwen Stacy, she was not as big a part of that movie as I thought she would be in the first one.
No, that one was much more concentrated on
Peter
Miles.
Parker and Miles Morales, yeah.
She was much more of a bit player in that one, which I'm glad in the second one they fleshed her out more, gave her more time. Same with like, and I know like there's only so much time, but same with like all the Spider-Verse characters in the first movie, like Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham, Penny Parker.
I like Spider-Ham a lot. He was fun.
He's cool.
Yeah.
But they only get like, a small amount of time too.
Yeah. There was one more thing. Peter B. Parker. He was a lot like more serious in the first movie, and like way more like chill and laid back and like funny in the second one. He was laid back in the first one too, but he was just even more like comedic in the second one, which I appreciated more, I guess.
Yeah, well, he has more of an arc in the first one where like he's sad because Mary Jane broke up with him and everything. Whereas in the second movie now he's kind of got his stuff together and he's got a kid and like
that makes sense.
So yeah. He has reasons to be more laid back in the second one, I guess.
Yeah. But all in all, I thought it was a good movie. The villains weren't as fun as the Spot to me. This could all be like just because I watched one movie before the other, but I just like the Spot more as a villain too.
Yeah, well, I mean, because the first one, which really, what is it? It's Kingpin and
he's got the Prowler, and that Doc Ock lady.
Oh yeah, female Doc Ock. Yeah, I forgot about her. Well, and plus like the Kingpin story is like pretty serious, where like he's like trying to get his dead family back.
That's
by
true,
searching through the multiverse, which is a good like motivation for his character.
It is.
But although the Spot, I'm still like, I don't know what to think of the Spot, because like I think we've only seen really a little bit of him.
Yeah. I mean, he's been fun so far. I think he's going to take a more villainous turn.
Yeah, it was like fun turn serious.
Yeah.
So now we'll see.
Yeah, so he's going to start going after people's family members and stuff, maybe, or something.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know the Spot. Yeah, I like the whole comedic, perspective of the second one more. The first one, one thing I do have to. So I get why Miguel O'Hara. What's it, Miguel?
Yeah, Miguel O'Hara. Yeah.
I get why he got a new family. Like Kingpin. So okay, your family died. Like even if you go out to the multiverse and find the same people, like they're not exactly the same, right?
Right.
So I mean, they're new people. Like it's still not the same. Like Miguel O'Hara, I guess like for him, he just happened to be in a new universe, and he was like, all right, I'll just take this guy's place, But with Kingpin, it's like he's searching for whole new people, and he's like going out of his way, and you don't know how it's going to work out anyway. They might be like, who the hell are you? Or like you're not the person I know.
I was thinking that too. Like if I replaced like a version of myself in another, universe, even if I looked exactly the same. Like, I feel like there'd be enough inconsistencies where eventually the people would suss out that, wait, every, like, third sentence you're saying something that doesn't make any sense.
Right, yeah.
And you'd also think that, there'd be these minor differences just in, like, in our universe, like, the Beatles became big, but maybe in that universe they didn't.
Right.
It's little things like that.
Yeah.
And people would be like, what are you talking about? That band that went nowhere, the one-hit wonder from the 60s or what,
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So I feel like you'd get found out.
For sure. I also watched Ghosts I've been watching it on Fubo TV. I got like a free trial. I just want to check it out just for that show.
What's Fubo? Is that one of the like you can watch but with commercials? Or?
Yeah, there's commercials.
Okay.
But there's it's like a streaming service like YouTube TV, Hulu, and the NBA Finals is on right now, so I've been watching on that too. But Ghosts is pretty good. I like it. It's a fun little, every episode is just about one of the ghost characters having something come up from their past or something or whatever. It's just silly like that. But I do get kind of taken out of this show just because like it's a diverse cast of ghosts.
Right.
And I'm like, that Victorian age lady should be foaming at the mouth, rabidly yelling the N-word at the other lady.
Honestly, I haven't seen the show, but that would be more interesting to me, and it would be more realistic.
Yeah.
Of like all these ghosts with like very different like personalities, grew up in different areas. Like, of course, like some of those ghosts are going to be racist.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are all perfectly okay with each other, just love each other just fine. But I'm like, man, I mean, I guess, look, what they leave out of the show is how long they've actually, gotten to know each other. Like, probably they've been there for centuries or whatever,
They got over the racism eventually.
It just takes a few hundred years. But I mean, it's just, to me, it's like everything's so honky dory. Like, as soon as it starts, the show, she sees ghosts, they're all friendly, they all know each other.
So, yeah, I haven't seen it, but yeah, to me, it would be, much more interesting if there was, some tension.
Yeah.
There. It seems like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's my only gripe with that show. Otherwise, it's fine. I like it.
So I know like this is like an American remake of a British show. You've seen some of both, haven't you? Or,
No, I haven't seen the British one.
Oh, I haven't seen the British one.
Yeah.
I always wonder because like, if the British version's better.
I mean, I don't know. The Office America did better. And Friends, the British tried to remake that, and it wasn't as good either.
I saw a couple episodes of the British Office. And, like, it was okay, but I never went back to it. So I can't really say for sure, like, if it's superior or anything. But it seems like, most people... Well, I don't know about most people, but the American Office, I think, is one of those, things that maybe surpassed.
I think so. And Ricky Gervais was asked about that, too. Like, what do you think about the American version being more successful than the UK version? And, he has his, like, kind of... Hey, what the hell are you talking about, man? I made this show. But, yeah, there is that kind of sentiment out there that, it is more popular. And I think Steve Carell just, he was perfect for that role.
Yeah. Yeah, the seasons with him are, like, great. And then after that, like, you might find a winner every now and again, but the quality goes downhill substantially.
Yeah.
It's funny. We were talking maybe, like, last week or the week before about how, shows... especially in America, just go on too long.
Right.
And they get weak. And, like, I feel like sometimes in other countries like Britain and, even some of these, like, Korean shows, like, they got the other problem where sometimes I think they close up shop too early. And you're like, oh, it maybe would have been interesting to do a little bit more of that. But they just, like, do, like, almost, I think, British shows, even, like, the British Office, I think, is maybe, like, 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
Like, they don't stay in it as long as America does.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I do think they should have with the good shows, you should try it. I mean...
I feel like maybe 5 seasons is like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Anything more usually goes down in quality, and sometimes anything less, you think you maybe didn't get enough.
I could have watched more Sherlock. Sherlock was fun.
I agree, actually. Yeah, Sherlock's... Yeah, I think that's one that went 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Of course, it's weird because each episode's almost like a mini movie. It's like an hour and a half long. So longer episodes. But yeah, I did like Sherlock.
Yeah, that was fun.
I just like those, like, British mystery shows, and that maybe they should just reboot Sherlock, do some more with somebody else.
I wish they would. I mean,
think it is one of those properties that you can reboot forever.
Yeah, I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch probably is too big for the show now, but
Probably, yeah.
I mean, he was fun while it lasted, I guess. I wish it was back.
Yeah, that was a solid show. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
You watch anything else?
No, not really. Just pretty much that.
Well, speaking of shows that went on too long, I think we talked about this the other week too. But AJ, another one bites the dust. I have successfully watched all 9 seasons of The Flash.
Oh boy!
I put another one to bed.
All right, let's talk about this because I heard things about the season finale where people were not happy. The series finale. I heard they focused too much on like another character instead of the Flash. Was it Iris's old boyfriend? He became like the blue something. Or...
Oh yeah, he was in it. I didn't mind that. They really like. I think they wanted to try to get a lot of like people that had been on the show before, like get him some cameos, this season. And I didn't mind that guy at all. I mean, I don't know. Definitely the season is more in line with the more recent seasons than, earlier. So it focuses a lot more on the new cast members that they've added over the last, couple seasons. And I think overall they're probably just not as compelling.
Right, okay.
And also, like, I don't know, did you watch long enough to get to that Cecile character? Which
yeah.
She gets in a relationship
She's
with,
like, she has prescience or something?
Yeah. She's like an empath. She can kind of like read people's emotions.
Okay.
And then she also eventually, like in this last season, she gets like telekinetic abilities.
Oh wow, that works.
And so I think
She got Cisco Ramon's powers.
I think some people think like maybe the show started to focus like maybe like too much on her.
Oh, okay.
Maybe some of the side characters and less on the Flash, which I get, but I don't know. To me, like, this was not the worst season of The Flash. Like, there was a season, like, a couple seasons ago that probably was.
Okay.
But still, yeah, like, you don't have Cisco. I kind of thought, too, like, because in the season finale, they roped in a lot of, past people. I thought, certainly they'll get Cisco for a cameo, but he was, like, the holdout.
He was the fun one.
I know, he was the holdout. He didn't show up, which kind of surprised me.
That sucks.
But, still overall, of the CW superhero shows that I've watched, I think despite the lack of, lessening quality, because they all kind of have that as they go on, I think still The Flash overall is my favorite one of them.
Okay.
I mean, there's still a couple more that I got to get through. Mm-hmm. But, I think Flash is up there. I mean, just the high bar, like the high quality of those first two seasons, I think gives it a boost.
Okay.
And then I just saw today, this is hot off the presses, some other CW news, which actually we kind of called this like a week or so ago. So Superman and Lois is going to be renewed for one more season, so it'll have a fourth season. And then that Gotham Knights show, to nobody's surprise, is donezo.
That had like one season, right?
Yeah, one season, and apparently, like, it's bad.
Okay.
But still, part of me is like, do I have to cross that off my list eventually?
Really? You would go through that?
Maybe. I mean, I did sign that deal with the devil where I'm supposed to watch them
all of the DC content.
But man, just the prospect of watching that, I'm like, ugh. Maybe I got to break this deal and just go to hell. And then the only other thing I watched was every once in a while I like to watch like an old black and white like crime noir type of movie. And there's like this really famous one that I never watched called Out of the Past, which stars Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas. So basically the plot of it is basically like this guy, he wants... I think he was like a detective, but he ended up doing a job for like a mobster where like this mobster's girlfriend like shot him and like fled. And so he goes to track her down. And so he goes and like they kind of fall in love with each other and have like this short affair, right? But then like that ends up not working out. And then so the story picks up years later. He's like now trying to get by just a simple life, like he owns like a gas station, But this guy that used to like run with that mobster like sees him or whatever, or sees his place, and like he's like the mobster guy wants you to do another job, for him. So he's like, oh, okay, he's got to do it, So he finds out that the woman, the girlfriend he tracked down before, basically ended up back with the mobster. And so he sends him on this other job that ends up, she gets involved with it. She's like the femme fatale of this whole story, you know. And within it, like they try to frame him for murder.
Oh wow.
And you know, like most crime noirs, like it eventually does not go well. But both Robert Mitchum and Kirk Douglas are in it, so it's just maybe the most ass chins in a movie.
I had a cousin with one of those who call it a booty chin. I didn't know.
Right.
Other people call it that too.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen that Jim Carrey movie, Me, Myself, and Irene.
Oh, right.
He's got one of those, and that's what they call it on there. So that's where I picked it up from. But yeah, that movie, it was good. I don't know if to me it's like a classic, like must watch, but it's not bad if anyone's looking for a crime noir. You know, speaking of like the ass chin thing, you know, it always reminds me of so it would have been like maybe Arrow season 1. You know that actress that plays the Black Canary, like she's really cute, but she's got the ass chin.
Oh,
right.
right.
And I was just like, I remember there's this scene where like her sister, like at that point, doesn't know that she's the Black Canary. So like her and her sister as Black Canary like get pinned down in the police station because there's like snipers outside or something, right? So like the whole like episode long they're having conversations, and eventually at some point like her sister's like, you know, you remind me a lot of my sister. and you know, all she has is like the domino mask. So a part of me is just like waiting for her to go, for example, you guys sound identical and you have the same ass chin. The very distinct ass chin.
That's always so hard to believe, man. You know for sure you would recognize. If your brother Lester was wearing a mask, like it would be so obvious.
That's the thing about the domino mask is they look cool, but they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
The mere like thought that would obscure somebody's identity is just the most ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you know that's another like thing between like a comic book and live action, where is if I'm reading a comic book and someone's wearing a domino mask, for some reason it doesn't really bother me. Maybe it's because you're not like hearing their voices or something, but when I see it in live action like that, I'm immediately like, there's no way.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's that disconnect. I mean, it's just as ridiculous in the comics, but for some reason when I'm reading it in a comic, it doesn't really bother me that way. But when you put it together in a live action scenario, you're like, oh, this is ridiculous, and they should have just gave her like a full face mask.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I think live action, like, there's more details involved. It just gives it away more, you know? Like, you see in a comic, you're not picking up on all the little stuff, you know? But, like, yeah, in live action, like, the hair, the way the person stands, the way the person does anything, like, it's all, you know, you can't fake it. Like,
I mean, realistically, even seeing, like, you know, Batman's, like, lower jaw, somebody that knows him would put it together.
yeah.
But like, that's at least with his mask, you can at least, like, buy in enough to be like, okay, I can buy it. But when someone's just wearing a domino mask, you're like, your brain just cannot compute it. But they look cool. They do look cool. Maybe we should just like start wearing domino masks.
Get recognized by everybody.
It's a fashion statement. I always thought it would be fun to like start wearing capes around too. Fancy capes.
That would be cool, actually. Just be the guy who's wearing the cape all the time. You go into the office just wearing a cape, that's all.
Probably would get cumbersome after a while. But you'd look cool.
I mean, car doors would be your worst enemy, probably.
That's
be
true.
Nemesis.
Maybe you'd have to go with like the shorter cape, like maybe it goes just down to your mid back or something.
Like a backwards bib.
Well, that's it for what I've been watching. You want to get into story time?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, guys. Anyone hasn't watched, we're going to go around, bring some funny stories we found from around the globe, and we'll see if we can't just make something funny and or interesting out of them. AJ, what do you got for us this week?
All right, I guess it's got little blurbs now of news, so like not whole articles. A UK church was struck by lightning. The windows were blown out, and a huge hole was left in the wall. And this was like a few days after they had like a big celebration there.
If that's not a sign, I don't know what is.
It's freaking terrible, man. I mean, you know what? This is the thing is, like, there's probably all kinds of bad stuff happening in every church.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but they're going to take this as a sign of, see, we need more people to come. We need more involvement. We need to give more time to God and this and that. And, you know, probably they're going to keep doing the bad stuff.
Yeah, this isn't punishment for all the child molestation. No. It's for not enough people coming to church.
Yeah, you guys got to be here next time the lightning strikes. So that's one. And I got another lightning story. A Texas woman was struck by lightning in front of her children, Ooh. And now she can sense whenever a storm is coming. And what happened was she was holding a pan in the kitchen, and the lightning came through like the light bulb. Like, I guess it traveled through the lights or something, and it like hit the pan, and then went right into her chest.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah, and she had several seizures after that. She was like, you know, in the hospital, and yeah, so now her chest tightens up every time a storm is about to come. Yeah, so she can sense it.
She's just all nervous about getting struck by lightning again.
I mean, yeah, she said she's nervous too.
Although I wonder what the odds are of getting, you know, they say lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice, but I wonder I wonder first what the odds are of getting struck by lightning are to begin with, but getting struck by lightning twice.
Well, her house got struck twice, like, because she got struck the first time, and then her family computer got broken the second time the lightning struck.
Do they have like a big old lightning rod on their top?
There were 1,200 lightning strikes in her area, in her proximity, in like 1 minute or something. Like, it was a really short amount of time.
Well, I think there definitely are like parts of the world that get more lightning strikes.
Yeah, I imagine that.
Over here in Portland, man, we hardly ever get lightning.
Yeah, and there's so many trees here. I would think trees like conduct lightning, don't they? Or like tall trees?
I don't know if they actually attract lightning. Maybe if you had like, you know, one tall tree in the middle of a field, it would be more likely. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed.
But I remember seeing a show many moons ago, though, that was about exactly what you're talking about, where like it was stories of like people got struck by lightning and then they had very weird side effects.
Yeah.
And I don't really, it's been so long since I saw it, I don't remember them. But it was like peculiar things where like, man, are these people getting like pseudo superpowers? Like not good superpowers.
That's like literally the first episode of The Flash.
Yeah. You just have to have the right mixture of chemicals in your hand.
We need who are these chemical companies to like put them out there, man? Get us these superpowers. Dump all your stuff into the water. No, don't do it.
That is like a funny origin of the Flash, where, you know, like someone was thinking, okay, how does he get his powers? He's struck by lightning. Nah, not quite good enough. He's got to be holding weird chemicals at the same time. Yeah. That's goofy enough. People can buy it.
I've been trying. I got chemicals on me all the time. Just walk around with 2 bottles.
Oh, speaking about the church that got struck, are you sad that Pat Robertson?
Oh my gosh. I found out the news when people were celebrating.
I know. That's true. Like, I didn't see anyone like too broken up about it. Even like, I think it was like a Rolling Stone headline, like, you know, they really took shots at him, like, you know, saying that he was like a hate monger, which he was. Yeah. But like, you know, they didn't like, you know, a lot of news outlets will try to put like that, we're not taking a side, like sheen over it, where you just kind of give the facts without any sort of opinion, which maybe is the better way to do it. But I mean, screw that guy. He was terrible.
All these haters, all these people, like, they whatever, they enjoy it now, but you know, in the end, they'll be remembered for their hate, their haterade.
Man, I saw this video online the other day. You know, there's this guy that's been very vocally, like, you know, anti-trans, anti-gay, and all this stuff. And then he made this video about how, you know, he used to, like, you know, watch all this like trans porn and how it ruined his life, and now he sees the error of his ways, and like,
so now he just hates trans people.
Right. Man, I swear, how it's so often like the most vocal, you know, anti-trans, anti-gay people You can almost set a countdown clock, like how long is it going to take before we find out this person is gay,
Yeah.
has done whatever type of gay business in the past, gets caught watching gay porn, gets caught with a gay prostitute. It's going to happen.
It's not just gay, dude. Like pedophiles. Like there's these extreme people who are so against it, and then you find out later that they're like a part of it. Like it's so. I guess it's projecting, right? Like,
or trying to throw any suspicion off of you, maybe.
Yeah, it could be that. That's true. Man,
now I'm distracted because there's like a spider on the wall.
I heard you stomped one like recently, like stomped the hell out of one.
Oh yeah, there's one on the floor the other day, and I didn't have anything, so I was like, oh, just step on him.
I was talking to Lester. We were like, I'm more of like I don't care. It's not bothering me. I don't bother. But I only kill them like when the kids are like crying, like, "Oh, kill the bug, kill the bug."
Oh no! To me, they're trespassing. They got to go if they're trespassing. We got little signs up around, and if they know what they're doing.
They know. All right.
Oh man. Okay. I should have condensed this down into a blurb, but I just found this article today, so I'll read it. But it's a really good Florida man title.
Oh, nice.
Florida man catches flesh-eating infection after his relative bites his leg.
Oh.
Fights between family members can get nasty, but they rarely involve necrotic limbs caused by flesh-eating bacteria. Unless, of course, you're in Florida. Everything's possible in that mad wonderland. Donnie Adams from Riverview had to step in to break up a tussle at a family gathering earlier this year. One of the fighting relatives somehow managed to bite him on his leg. Fast forward less than a week, and the 52-year-old was in the hospital. Flesh-eating bacteria had ravaged his leg and began rotting from the inside. To save his limb, not to mention his life, doctors ended up cutting away 70% of the flesh on the front of Adam's thigh. Still, he can count himself lucky, albeit heavily scarred, he got to keep his leg. Quote, I would never imagine that a human bite would turn into something so horrific as a flesh-eating bacteria, Adams told WFLA. On February 12th of this year, Adams was attending a family event when things came to a head between two of his relatives. He didn't go into details, but long story short, he got bitten on his left thigh. 2 days later, he noticed a small bump at the spot where his relative had sunk their teeth. The bite was also starting to get painful, so he went to the hospital. The doctors gave him a tetanus shot and an antibiotic. Yet his leg didn't start getting any better. Quite the opposite, in fact. By the third day, my leg was very sore, said Adams. I couldn't walk, and it was very warm and very painful. Now, in case you didn't know, pain and high localized body temperatures are telltale signs of infection, and not a mild one. So Adams went back to the hospital, and not a moment too soon. Examining his leg, the doctors made a small incision. Out from Adam's thigh oozed a gray, stinking liquid, which meant his leg was undergoing necrotizing fasciitis. Essentially, his flesh was dying and rotting under the skin. Quote, I looked at him and I said to him that I need to take you to the operating room, said Dr. Fritz Brink, an osteopathic physician at HCA Florida Pasadena Hospital in St. Pete. Adams took the news that his leg was basically dying off surprisingly well. Quote, they assessed my wound and it was very horrific. It was unbelievable, admitted Adams. But in my mind, I just had to get through whatever this was. Before Dr. Brink put Adams under in the operating room, he warned him that he would likely come out of the operating with a relatively big wound. After he got to work, though, he realized he had seriously underestimated the damage. Nearly all of Adam's thigh had been infected by the bacteria. What flesh hadn't already turned black and dyed was bright red and rotting. That left Dr. Brink with a difficult decision. You're torn between being as aggressive as you can be to stop the infection from spreading and leaving as much tissue behind so that it won't take 2 years to heal, Dr. Brink explained to Tampa Bay Times.
Dude, what was this guy's family? Was he an alligator?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know if it gets into that or not, but yeah, like, what was in this guy's mouth?
Yeah, I want to see his face and his teeth.
Despite not necessarily going all in, Dr. Brink had to slice away 70% of the flesh in the front of Adam's thigh. He also required a follow-up operation to remove parts that hiding bacteria. had spread to again. Yet Adams got off easy. If he had come to the hospital a day later, he may have lost his leg or his life. Dr. Brink said that the next day the infection could have spread into Adams' abdomen and sent him into sepsis. It would have been tough to get control of the infection, he summarized. Following the surgery, Adams spent 3 weeks in the hospital recovering. He's still facing a 6-month treatment regime to regrow the flesh he lost. Dr. Brink is using a process called wound vac to help Adam's leg heal. It involves stuffing a sponge into the wound, sealing it with basically a plastic wrap, and then sucking out all the air from the wrapping. Somehow that helps the body to build up new blood vessels and regrow the flesh. Look, we're not medical professionals. We'll just take Dr. Brink's word on it. Adams himself doesn't remember feeling a bite during the family fight. What? However, according to Dr. Brink, there's really no other way his leg could have got infected. A human bite is dirtier than a dog bite as far as the kinds of bacteria that grows. Normal bacteria in an abnormal spot can be a real problem, he said. As such, Adams now encourages everyone to have doctors check even small wounds. You don't know what is going on underneath. It could be something that is life-threatening, he said. Adams has recovered the use of his leg and is able to walk, albeit with occasional pain. There is a spiderweb of fresh scar tissue on his thigh, but he sees the silver linings on it. What you see now, you see not just a scar, but the beauty of the aftermath. I'm grateful to have my leg and for the care I received, Adams said. That's a pretty great attitude to have after almost losing your leg to a filthy human bite. I mean, for one, I feel bad for this guy, not only because of that, but it sounds like he was actually the one like trying to break up a fight
between two other people.
One of them bit him on the leg. So, I don't know, maybe the guy didn't have like crazy stuff going in his mouth. It sounds like just like with the bacteria that can be in a human mouth, like if you bite someone, like you're taking that kind of risk. But you know, this makes me think because like
Was a banjo playing at this family reunion or whatever they were?
Well, it was Florida, so I'm guessing there's a good chance. But also, I kind of think like I've seen wrestling matches where like one wrestler will like bite another one, and like I'm sure there's some like working element involved.
Yeah.
So maybe they're not biting down all that hard, but. Part of me is thinking like maybe they shouldn't do that spot at all because now that I know this is a possibility.
Well, I mean, this person must have bit the hell out of him too. Like he must have he broke the skin.
I guess so, but the weird thing is, like in that last thing he said, like he didn't even really remember like being bit. I'm like, I would think you would remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that just shows you how much commotion must have been going on if he couldn't even remember that one of them bit him.
What a weird go-to though. If you're like
bite the leg of the person stopping the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if you were biting the person you were actually like, you know, pissed off at and fighting with, but to like bite the guy that's like trying to break it up, that's just a weird go-to. And also like biting his ankle, like getting down on the ground and biting his ankle.
That's so weird.
That's a very weird move.
Yeah.
Only in Florida, folks.
My gosh.
Only in Florida.
Keep it classy, Florida. All right. This one's an even shorter one, but I just wanted to get this one out there because I kind of thought it was interesting. So a man actually, he's a professor, and he's spending some time underwater. He's at the bottom of the Atlantic for 100 days. And he's trying to see how they can rehabilitate certain environments at the deep sea level. And what he's also finding out is that he feels much younger being down there. He said he feels 10 years younger. He feels amazing.
Oh, wow.
And so what they've found out is that, well, he's been there for 93 days, and he's got 7 left to go, according to this article anyway. There are these parts of the chromosomes called telomeres. They're like at the ends of the chromosomes, I believe.
Okay.
And these get shorter and shorter as you age. But being inside of a pressurized oxygen chamber can actually help regrow them.
Oh, wow.
So that's what might be happening with him right now. And what they've also found is that his metabolism is boosted. He's much leaner physically. And also his stem cell count is up.
And this is just from being down there 100 days?
Yeah. 93 days so far.
Although still, that's a commitment.
I would do it if it could help me that much.
I probably would too, actually.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So, like, do they think it's like the pressure, the gravity?
Yeah, they think it's the chamber. They think that's what it is. The fact that he's in a pressurized oxygen chamber.
Wow. I want now, I don't know if we did a story on it or just maybe talked about it off camera, but there's that guy that's been like doing all these crazy things to try to like stop
Oh, that
aging,
guy, yeah.
like a very strict diet, very strict exercise.
Yeah.
I think he tried to like get his son's blood in him or something too.
Wow.
Some weird stuff. But now that guy's probably like
He's
thinking,
like,
oh, maybe I can just go to the bottom of the
This
ocean.
is the easy way to do it. Well, easy-ish.
Yeah, that's true. Like, how do you get to?
I mean, when it says pressurized, does that mean that you actually have to be at the bottom of the ocean for this to? That's what it sounds like. Like, you can't get pressure any other way, right?
Yeah, and also like, I'm wondering, like, would being in a submarine, for example, be enough? Or does he have to be in whatever he's in?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. Because there are people who go in submarines down all the time.
But because it is a pressurized tube. But
yeah. They're at sea for a long period of time too.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. It might just be this part, this chamber, just because I've never heard of anybody else having this kind of reaction.
I wonder if there would be a scientific way to create a chamber on land that would mimic the pressure.
Right, that's what I was thinking, because that could be a business model right there. You could make a lot.
Well, yeah, if this actually worked and you could sell but then it's like, how long would you have to stay in one of these chambers to really see the effect?
Right,
yeah. Would you have to like live in one like this guy's doing for months on end to see any sort of result?
Right.
And it's still, maybe it would be worth it, but
we don't know how long it's going to last for. These telomeres shorten over time, so I guess it is worth it if they regrow, and then you just, as long as they are long, that's fine. Go with it. Maybe it takes like 5-10 years for them to shorten for significantly, and then try it again.
You know what I always wondered is, like, let's say someone actually did find out a way to straight up de-age somebody.
Yeah.
What would the government do once they found that out? Because obviously, overpopulation, like, you can't have everybody living
right
forever or hundreds of years even.
Yeah.
And so, like, what would the government do to stop it? And so a part of me thinks that somehow just rich people would be able to do it and nobody else.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
But like
government and rich people.
Yeah. But it does, like, it sucks because it's like, if that's the thing, if anyone ever discovered to do it, you'd probably never be able to experience it yourself.
Yeah.
It would be safeguarded in some way.
Yeah, I agree.
The only way it wouldn't be is if we actually found a way to colonize space.
Yeah, then they'd be using it on everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's no way they would let people live that long. No.
A part of me, like, I've always wondered, I thought it would make a good, like, sci-fi story. Like, let's say there was a society that did create something like that. And so, like, you're basically go back to being, like, 20 or something. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, imagine what dating would be like, because, like, everybody would look young like that. So, like, you could be dating someone who's 80 years older than you. They would look young. You could be dating somebody 80 years younger than you.
Yeah.
How crazy would that be?
That would be absurd, yeah. Yeah, that would be, you'd have to make some laws, I think, or something, like some disclosing laws. That's nuts. Like, imagine, like, you're on your deathbed and you look like you're 20.
That would be crazy. Well, yeah, that's the thing is,
like, would you die looking 20, or would you eventually age? Like, what would happen?
My guess is it would be up to you. Like, well, my guess is too, it would probably never be free. So it's like, maybe it's one of those things where, like, you let yourself age for a while and then you do it again and you go back. Yeah. But that would be crazy too.
Yeah. There are animals that can do that, like sea creatures that can age and then, like, have a rebirth basically and then go through that cycle.
It'd also be crazy though, to where, like, let's say they did that, like, of course some people are still going to die in freak accidents. or probably some sort of disease. Although you figure like if you're living in this scientific future where de-aging is possible, there's probably a lot of scientific breakthrough where people don't die as much from cancer and things.
Yeah.
But like to then actually be in a position where you might have to like make the call to where like, I think I'm ready to die.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna aged to death now.
Yeah.
That would be a freaky thing to have to do, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you'd ever get to that point?
I mean, I can't imagine myself being ready to like, just walk out on it, But I feel like if everybody I knew did it, everybody I cared about did it, then there'd be no reason to stay. I'd go then.
That's the other crazy thing is like if people you knew someone you knew did die in a horrible accident or something, like you could like lose somebody that you've known for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And how devastating that could be.
True.
And it's just like, man, I think there's a lot of story potential for that kind of sci-fi world.
Yeah, for sure. Huh. We got a couple of ideas. We got the chamber. Make that into a business model.
Yeah, let's just. Although, like, I don't even know if that's scientifically possible to like recreate that kind of pressure that you find at the bottom of the ocean or whatever. It is crazy that it would have that effect on his body, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very
positive effect. I would think, if anything, a negative one.
Right, you would almost. When you first like started talking about that, like I remember there's that thing where like, relativity with gravity or whatever, where like they say like, somebody. I forget which direction it goes. Where like if somebody's in an airplane and somebody's on land, technically. One of those people is like aging slightly faster, slightly slower than the other person.
Right.
And it's like, I guess if it's gravity that causes that, like if you're, down in the ocean, like you would also be affected by that relativity, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I can't talk on that. I don't know.
I know it's one of those like.
That is so abstract to me.
It is. It's one of those crazy things. I probably am getting it wrong anyways. But.
I thought it was like the faster you travel, the slower you age. Like the closer you approach the speed of light, the slower time goes, basically.
Oh, is that what it is? The speed rather than like the gravitational pull?
I'm sure the gravitational pull has something to do with it. It's just that I don't know, man. I can't
once you get into like quantum stuff, it gets silly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all like jargon. It's just so like it's so abstract and so imaginary, like I don't know what the truth is there. I don't know if they're just making stuff up sometimes.
Have you ever seen Interstellar?
Yeah.
It's like I remember seeing like Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about Interstellar, and he's like the basic concept is like true that but he's like basically it happening as fast as it does in Interstellar, like they're trapped on that one planet for like 3 minutes or whatever, and it creates that much of a difference. He's like, that wouldn't happen. Like there's probably no place where the relativity would be like that great,
right?
But still, it's an interesting premise.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I'm not the biggest like McConaughey fan. Like, he's been good in a couple things, but like that movie, and I'm not someone who really gets like cries at movies, but like it does choke me up a bit, that part where he is like watching the videos of his daughter like aging, and he's realizing that he just like missed her complete childhood, like her complete life, and it's like, damn, that is like a tough scene.
Yeah. I forgot, when he gets back, how old is she?
Well, when they finally meet, she's older than him.
Okay.
And I mean, she looks like an 80-year-old woman, probably.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew, that sucks. Not quite Ant-Man. Yeah, he didn't go that far.
Although that movie, like, he gets sucked into the black hole, and instead of just like being spaghettied to death, like he somehow ends up as in a bookcase or whatever.
Yeah. I thought you were supposed to be stretched out to like infinity.
That is what would happen. Like, yeah, he would be dead in a terrible, terrible way, but the movie's got to go somewhere.
Like I heard, like I watched one of those like universe shows, like where physicists talk about it, and from my understanding, like if somebody was sucked into a black hole in front of you, they would look like they were still in the same spot for like a long time, for like forever maybe, but they would actually have been like pulled in like a string and like taken into an infinitely small space or something.
Yeah, I heard they'd be like squished into a string. I didn't know that they would, from your perspective, look like they were like in the same spot or whatever.
Yeah, like they were just there.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. But who knows? Like, well, they don't know that. They never observed it, have they? No. There's thoughts that like on the other side of a black hole is a white hole. So like that's where like things come out of, like maybe like even big bangs are formed, like, creating new universes from white holes.
So like more than one Big Bang?
Yeah. That's just a theory.
Man, I gotta say, like, I almost hate that space is so big and that, like, we know there's almost certainly other intelligent life out there, but we'll never know, probably.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Like, you watch the science fiction, like, shows of, like, Star Trek, Star Wars, the Orville, stuff like that, and you're just like, why can't that be a reality?
Yes.
Where we're going out and we're discovering all this cool shit.
Yeah, like go to more advanced civilizations and be like in wonder of like, wow, these guys did this. That would be so awesome.
It would be like, and I say it'd be awesome. Like, I'm afraid to even fly in a regular plane. So like, but it doesn't look that like when you see a rocket shuttle taking off, that looks terrifying. Yeah. But when you just watch like
Star Trek,
and they just
whole giant,
and they just like zoop up there, and it doesn't look that bad,
Yeah, they're all just walking around fine. They're not stuck to the ground or anything.
But yeah, which would you rather like? Would you rather us live in the Star Trek-y kind of world where like we've met alien races and we can go to space and explore and stuff? Or do you like the idea of a Spiderverse more where like we discovered the multiverse and you can actually travel different multiverses?
I think multiverse. Yeah, because Star Trek is one universe, whereas multiverse you can meet civilizations from so many different places.
That's true, and I guess in one of those multiverses, like they probably did discover like how to fly to space. So you probably get both worlds that way.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Would you want to meet an alternate version of yourself?
Oh yeah. I'd love to know like what a different version of me would be like. Maybe like certain circumstances would have changed my life and set me on a different path, and that'd be interesting to know.
You find the best one and then you kill that guy and
take his place. Yeah. Yep, that's the move.
Oh, let's see. Do I got another good story to go out on? Okay, let's try this one. So this is kind of 8 things that people believe to be true about different animals, but are actually false. Right. Number 1, bears hibernate.
What? I've been lied to my whole life.
We'll see. While it is true that bears retreat into their dens for the winter, they do not hibernate. True hibernation is a voluntary action where an animal slows down its bodily functions to survive a difficult period. Bears don't do that. Instead, they go into a state called torpor. You can think of torpor as a very deep sleep. It serves a similar purpose as hibernation, but there's one very important difference. Animals in torpor can wake up, and bears do, several times over the winter. This might seem like an insignificant difference, but if you're out and about in a bear area in winter, well, let's just say watch where you step. So it's
close.
Kind of true, but not... Maybe not what we think exactly.
What do they mean by several times in the winter? Every night, or like 3, 4, 5 times in the winter?
Probably that.
Yeah, that's not much.
Yeah. So it's close to hibernation, but not quite.
Yeah.
Also, like if they don't hibernate, like I'm wondering, like what animals do. because apparently it's a thing.
Yeah.
Number 2, that dogs are colorblind. For a long time, people thought that dogs see the world in black and white, like an old-timey TV, but they can actually see colors. Granted, a dog's color vision isn't as good as a human being's. They have no receptors for red or green colors, but they do see blue and yellow. So they're not completely colorblind. They simply see the world as a person with red-green color blindness would. Number 3, mother birds abandon chicks a human touches. Like, that's a myth or a thing I've never even heard, I don't think.
I heard that on Family Guy or something. Like, don't touch it or the mother will not accept it.
Every kid gets taught to not touch baby birds falling from the nest. The mother can smell the human on them and will abandon the chick. Except they don't do that. Most birds have a very poor sense of smell and probably couldn't detect your stink on their babies even if you hadn't showered in a week. Some mother birds might abandon a nest if they see you messing with it, though. But that's not because of your smell. Their bird brain simply assumes the baby birds are good as dead and they should cut their losses. But even then, it's more likely that the mother bird will try to fight you off at first if the chicks have hatched. They are mothers, after all, and won't abandon their kids lightly. Number 4, that ostriches bury their heads in the sand. Speaking of bird brains, ostriches sure are dumb. If they get scared, they'll stick their heads in the sand and think the predator won't see them. Of course, you probably guessed that they don't do that. There's not a single known instance of an ostrich burying its head in the sand. Just think about it. How would it breathe? Even ostriches aren't that dumb. If you see an ostrich that looks like burying its head, it's probably taking care of its eggs. They bury their eggs in the ground and regularly turn them around to keep them warm. I mean, where do you think that one comes from? To me, it may be cartoons, because I've definitely seen cartoons where ostriches do that, but like I don't know if that came from somewhere else.
I'm surprised. Like, I can't believe we made a big deal out of that. It's not even true.
Yeah, it's true. It's like you would think it would come from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know. Number 5. This one I've definitely heard. Goldfish have 3-second memories.
Yeah, I've heard that.
We often compare forgetful people to goldfish, but that's doing the fish wrong. Instead of 3 weeks, their memory can span 3 months.
Oh, dang.
In fact, they're smart enough to tell the time of day. Researchers found that goldfish would gather around an automated food dispenser shortly before feeding time, implying they could tell when it was time for dinner. They can even learn to drive cars? What? Next time you see a goldfish in a sad plastic bag at a pet store, feel sorry for it. It will remember being there. There was a link to the learning to drive car story, but I don't think I'm going to go there. Yeah. Number 6, that opossums hang by their tails. Now, this one I've definitely seen depicted in cartoons and things. A family of possums hanging in a row by their tail is a common sight in cartoons. In reality, though, it just doesn't happen. Baby possums can sometimes hang by their tails, but that's because they slipped off the branch they were perching on. That's like looking at a baby that tumbled on all fours and deducing that people are quadrupedal. Adult possums don't hang by their tails at all. They're much too heavy for the tails to support them. I know in Oregon that it's common for people to like hit possums with their cars. Oh. But I've never seen one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one either. I saw a raccoon recently. I think maybe twice.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw a raccoon in the wild maybe like once.
Okay. I saw it like twice in 1 week. I don't know if it's the same raccoon or like different raccoons or what, but...
Was it around your neighborhood?
Yeah, it was kind of around the neighborhood, yeah.
I mean, they do like to get into garbage.
Yeah.
So that could be. They're funny creatures, though. They look like crooks, like burglars.
Yeah, they're cute. I like raccoons.
They are cute.
Remember that story where this raccoon was climbing this building? It was like a 14-story building.
Oh, no.
And it got all the way to the top.
Holy cow.
People were cheering it on, like hoping it didn't fall. And it was clinging on for dear life, man. I couldn't believe it got there.
I wonder what would even inspire it to climb like that.
I don't know.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Number 7, bulls hate the color red. The toreador waves his red cloth and the bull attacks him. Clearly, the bull must hate the color red. Sorry to disappoint you, but a bull couldn't hate it red because it doesn't know what it is. Like dogs, bulls can't see red. So how could they hate it? Instead, they get annoyed by the movement of the bullfighter's cape, or maybe by the fact that the bullfighter is constantly harassing the animal. The red color actually has a more macabre purpose. It hides bloodstains, whether from the bull or the bullfighter. What do you think of bullfighting?
It's barbaric.
It is, really.
Yeah.
I want to say my brother went to, like, he for a while when he was in the military was stationed in South Korea. And, like, I think he said he went to one.
They have that there?
I guess so. I think that's where he was.
Okay.
But, yeah, I don't know if I'd want to see that. I guess there's always the chance that you might see the bull actually gore.
Yeah, you're okay with that. Get that jerk. You know how many bulls he's killed?
But, yeah, this day and age, it does seem like a very barbaric thing for, to keep doing.
It's just for sport. Yeah.
Oh, man, I've been listening to that Quentin Tarantino podcast.
Oh, he's got one?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he talks about how, like, they eventually outlawed it in the States, maybe in, like, the 60s or something. But, like, you ever see, like, an old-timey Western where, like, there'll be a horse running and it'll just, like, flip, like, ass over tea kettle? Like, they apparently did this thing they call a flying W, where they would actually tie a rope, like, to the horse's leg and just have it run at full speed, and then it would, like, jerk them over. And he said, like, it ended up, like, a lot of times it would kill the horse.
Gee.
And so they were very, like, barbaric. But he said even when it was outlawed in the States, they would still do it in Europe.
Oh.
So, like, if Westerns were shot in, like, Spain or whatever, they would still do those, and, like, they did them for a long time.
I don't know where people get these ideas from, man. Why do that? Ugh.
I mean, I don't know. It was a different time. They didn't give a crap about horses.
Hey, I heard just like, a couple centuries ago, in America, people would just leave their kids on the side of the road hoping somebody else would find them and, like, raise them. Like, people were different back then, man. They didn't care about their own kids. They sent them to work in factories, of course. I mean, kids were just tools. They were nothing else.
Well, I mean, the boomer generation where so many people were born, that was a big thing, is, like, people would have, like, farms too, and be like, basically they just needed a cheap workforce. It was like survival. Like, well, and also, it's sad, but it's like, they knew that, like, there's a good chance a kid or two could die from some disease or something too. Yeah. So it's like, well, we better have some extras.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, man, that was a rough time.
Yeah.
But still, it's like one thing to where, like, okay, there's no way I can take care of this kid. Maybe I'll go leave it at an orphanage. Besides just, you know what? I'm just going to leave Johnny in the middle of the road and hope for the best.
That's insane. Like, they would sell their kids to people. It was just wild times. Like, I get why it was called the Wild West, man.
It's crazy stuff. Yeah. And then the last one, number 8, that lemmings commit mass suicide. Sometimes during migration, a horde of lemmings decides they just don't want to live anymore. They jump off tall cliffs by the thousands to die and prevent population issues. Sure, lemmings sometimes do fall off cliffs during migrations, and people sometimes die in traffic during rush hour, but we don't claim that's a suicidal human tradition. The myth of lemming suicide comes from the Disney-produced documentary White Wilderness, which showed the animals pulling off the stunt. But the lemmings didn't do it voluntarily. The filmmakers imported a horde of lemmings to Canada and intentionally herded them off a cliff.
Oh my God.
It wasn't suicide, it was genocide. Oh my God, talk about animal cruelty.
What the heck? Oh.
So they're making a nature documentary, and they're like, you know what would really sell this? If we killed just a boatload of lemmings.
Let's make some shit up.
I mean, the only reason I knew it was because of the old Lemmings video games. Oh, speaking of which, like, I don't know if it's any good, but I saw a trailer for this new video game called Humanity, and it basically looks like Lemmings only with people.
Okay.
It looked interesting. I might have to check it out.
All right.
But good Lord.
And be nicer to animals, folks. All right.
I just... the fact that that came across someone's brain and, like, a whole production crew was like, yeah, That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I fear that humans have a little too much creativity when we're coming up with these kinds of ideas. Let's run thousands of these things off the cliff.
Well, we might still bullfight bulls, but at least we don't commit lemming genocide anymore. So maybe as a society, we're getting a little bit better, a little on the upside.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So should we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, we thank everybody very much for watching and listening. If everything goes to plan, I think next week we can do a review of The Flash.
Yes,
we're looking forward to that. But if you will, please subscribe both to the YouTube channel and to a podcast in audio form on your podcast service of choice. Leave us thumbs up, positive reviews, comments, all that good stuff. And if you want, you can come and follow me on Twitter at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.